Hello crafters, it's Chloe from Chloe's Creative Cards, and today we've got another fabulous new project using the guitar stamp and die set. Now this is one of Rebecca's fabulous projects that she's already written up for the blog, but I thought it'd be great to do a YouTube on this one as well. So we will get started. This is the lovely project that we are going to be making. So we've got the 3 guitars going across the middle, and this is using our brand new Happy Hobbies collection, and this is of course the guitar stamp and die set. We are going to be using the music background embossing folder as well, so that's going to look fab in the background, and we're going to do a nice little inky technique to show you how to use that, and we're going to be using the paper pad as well, and yeah, we've got lots of fabulous goodies coming up. So all of the products that I've used for this demo are all listed and linked in the description below. And of course, you can shop all of our products on our website, which is www.chloescreativecards.co.uk. So we will get started. We're going to be using an 8x8 card blank today. So I'll pop the overhead camera in and then you can have a little look and see what we are doing. So we're going to start with an 8x8 card blank. And then I've got some silver mirror card, which I've trimmed down to about 7 3/4 inches square, and that's going to just fit onto the front of our card. So we're going to just glue this down into place. I'm just using a little bit of dries clear glue to stick this one down. And again, for your mats and layers, you can use whatever kind of glue you want. I like to use a glue so that I've got that little bit of time just to kind of manoeuvre it about if I don't quite get it in the right place. So we'll stick that down there. Okay, you can see how that's then looking. I've then taken a piece of our onyx pearl card and I've popped this into the music background embossing folder. So this embossing folder is 8x8 in size, which is lovely because it means it's great for your bigger projects. So it's a standard 2D embossing folder. So we're going to use our base plate and our plastic shim. Not our base plate and plastic shim. We're going to use our base plate and our cutting plate to send this through the machine. So we're going to pop that together and through that one goes. There we go. And then we will grab that at the other side when it's finished. Make sure it doesn't knock my glue off the table there. We do not want that. So we'll take this out and then we will open this up. And you can see that's the deboss side. But then on the embossed side, we've got this beautiful music note background, and you can see how fab that then looks. So we'll pop this to one side and we're going to grab in a silver ink pad. So the ink pad that I'm using is just a silver Encore ink pad, but to be honest, any silver ink pad would work. You could also use a little bit of silver gilding wax as well if you wanted to. Gilding wax would work just the same, and we're just going to take that ink pad and just drag it over the background. And I'm not too bothered if we get a few lines or anything like that. We're just going to rub this over like this, just to pull out that embossed detail. And you can see how lovely that then looks. Okay, and that has created our own little backing paper, but super easy and super simple to do. And you can see you've got all of that lovely kind of metallic sheen on there as well. So we're going to flip that over and we're going to take some foam pads and pop this on the back. So just some little foam pads all over the back here. And of course, these are our foam pads on a roll that I'm using. If you haven't heard of these, please do go and check them out on our website, which is chloescreativecards.co.uk, because these are fab. They are such good foam pads for doing all of your mats and layers, and they're nice and large. So it means that it's really easy to kind of get your mats and layers nice and balanced, and the backs are nice and easy peel too. So just peel the backs off of these like this. And then we'll grab our card blank back in and we'll stick this down. So just position that down into place, and then we can just stick that onto there. And then you can see that's the base of our card kind of starting to build up. We've then got another piece of silver mirror card, which we're going to pop on the top of there. And again, I've just got some foam pads on the back of here. going to go onto there, like so. And then we've got another one. My silver ink might not be quite dry yet, which is why that's not quite sticking. We've got another piece of black pearl card, and we're going to stick this down onto the top of here. Like that. So you can see our mats and layers are starting to come together. And then we've got a lovely kind of wood effect printed background, and this is from the Happy Hobbies paper pad. So we're going to take this, but we're going to add a little bit more to it first. So we're going to take our star stamp, so it's this one from the stamp set here. Okay, if I bring that one in, if I put it against the white, you'll be able to see it a bit better. This one here. So we're going to use those little stars to start and build the background up. So we're going to take our star stamp here and we'll ink this up. So lots of light tapping all over the image, and we're just using a Versafine Clair ink pad in Nocturne, which is the black. And then we can just go in and just stamp some little stars onto the background. And I'm going to re-ink each time just to kind of keep them looking nice and sharp. There, and we'll pop a little bit in the top corner there, a few in there, and then I'll pop a few in at the other side as well. So we're just kind of positioning these and dotting them about, so then you can see that's built that pretty little star background up onto that patterned paper. So what we're then going to do is grab our card blank in and we'll stick this down. So I'm going to just use a little bit of my dries clear glue again, just onto the back of there. And then we'll just stick this down into place. Like that. Okay, so that's kind of built up our base mats and layers for our project. So next up, we're going to start working on these guitars that we've got going across the middle. So we've got two that are the same, which have been glittered up, and then we've got one in the middle that's all paper pieced. So I'll show you how to do the glittered ones first, and then we'll do the paper pieced one afterwards. So we're going to start off by just taking some plain white card, and I've got our guitar stamp already on an acrylic block. We're then going to take our Versafine Clair ink pad. We're going to dust our card over with a little bit of anti-static to start with. Just give that a little dust round. And then we are going to take our Versafine Clair ink pad and we'll just ink this up like so. Okay. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to grab some clear embossing powder. So to do that, we're going to take our Wow Clear Gloss Superfine embossing powder and we're going to cover our stamped image in that. So we want to position our stamp down and press. So you want firm, even pressure all over the image. We're then going to lift this off and then we'll cover that with our clear gloss Superfine, like that. And then we're going to heat this one up. So we will just use our heat tool to do that. So there we go, we're just heating that up. So we're going to chase that embossing powder until that's all turned. Like that, and you can see the detail that you've got in this stamp as well, and it's a really nice large image. So I'm going to stamp another one and then we've got it ready to go for our paper pieced one. So again, we're just going to use that Versafine Clair ink pad. We're going to ink up the stamp. We're going to position that down and press. So you want firm, even pressure all over the image. And then we're going to lift that off and again, cover with our clear gloss. And it looks like you're using loads, but what you don't use goes straight back into the jar. Okay, so then we'll use our heat tool and we will heat this up. There we go. And then next up, we're going to take the guitar die and pop this over the top because this is going to die cut the image out for us. So we're going to position that down just onto here. Like so. And then we'll send this through our die cutting machine. So I'm going to use my base plate, my metal plate, my plastic shim, and then my cutting plate on the top. We'll just send that through. And there we go. And then we can grab this at the other side when it's finished. And then we can bring that back in. And there we go. And then we're going to line that up again and send the other one through again. So position that straight over the top, like this. And then that's going to go straight back through our die cutting machine. There we go. And then we'll lift that out. And we've got our two guitars all nicely die cut there. So what we'll now do is we're going to start and colour these in and glitter them up. So I've got some Copic markers here, which we're going to use to start to colour these in. So on these ones, let me grab the card in. So on the glittered ones, you can see we've coloured this top bit in kind of grey. We've got the top part in wood, and then we've kind of just shaded a little bit around this area to kind of shade the white. And then on this one, we've paper pieced it with some mirror card. Can you see how nice and shiny that is? And then we've coloured this bit in a little bit darker silver. So I'll do one of each to show you. So we're going to start off by doing the glittered one. So we're going to start and take our Copic markers. So I've got three different shades of grey here. So I've got Cool Grey 1, I have got Cool Grey 3 and Cool Grey 5. So we're going to start with the lightest colour first, and I'm going to go in and just colour like this all of the way down. And then I'm going to go in with the darkest colour first and just go along the outside edge like this. And again, because this isn't, you don't have to be kind of too careful about this one, to be honest. You can kind of just go in and add a little bit of the colour like that. And then we can go back over with our lightest colour just to blend that all in. So then next up, we're going to take that Cool Grey 1 again. And I'm going to go in and just work my way around, just add in just a little bit of colour around the edge here, like that. And then I'm just going to kind of leave that at that, really. We're going to add a little bit of Cool Grey 3 just to this part here. And then you can just see how we've got that part done there. Okay, and then to do the top part, we've got these three kind of beigey, kind of sandy colours. So the lightest one we've got is Brick Beige, which is a nice kind of very soft colour. So we'll go in and just colour this top part around like this. And then next up, we have got sand, which is this lovely kind of sandy colour. So that's like our mid shade really. So we can just go add a little bit of that in. And then we've got a little bit of a darker colour, which is chamois, which we can just add in here. Just a little bit around the edge. And then we can go back in with that brick beige and just blend over the top. Okay, so you can see how that starts to come together. We're then going to take our lovely Cool Grey 3 and just colour these little parts in on the guitar. Okay, and then we can start and add a little bit of glitter. Now you can either add glitter or you don't have to if you don't want to. You could just colour this all in. But we're going to use a little bit of our black glitter. And this one's called Black Soot because it's just a plain black glitter. So it's not super sparkly. It's still got that sparkle in there, but it's lovely for using on these kind of guitars and making them look like they're really going to pop and stand out. So you can then take your Dries clear PVA glue and you can just start and go in and just add your PVA to the guitar. Now, if you wanted to, you could, if you're not as confident with your glittering, go in and put a base coat of black. So just colour the area that you're going to glitter with a black marker pen. So your black Copic or a black pen, anything like that. And just colour it in black. So then if you miss any areas with the glitter, it'll be the black that shines through rather than the white card. So you can just go in and again, using your glue like a bit of a pen, and that's kind of the way that I hold it. You just colour in the area and flooding it with your glue. There we go. Okay, so then we've got that all covered nicely with our PVA. So then we can sprinkle our glitter over the top, tap away the excess, and we've got that guitar beautifully glittered. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to one side. So we've got two of those which I've already done, and let me grab those in to show you. Okay. So I've got these two here, which are already done. And what we've done is gone in and used the little self-adhesive sparkles, which are these here. And we've added them just to the top of the guitar and just to this little point here. So you can see how fab that then looks on the project. So I'm going to flip those over and we'll pop some foam pads onto the back of those. And then they are about ready to stick on. Like this. Just get our foam pads on there. Like that, and then we're going to pop that to one side. And then next up I'm going to show you how to create this guitar here. So we're going to take the one that we've already die cut out and we're going to colour this one in. So for this one it's a little bit darker, so I'm going to use some darker Copic markers as well in the mix with this one. So we're going to colour parts of it in exactly the same. So I'm going to go straight in with my Cool Grey one and just colour this part in here. And then we'll add a little bit of dark just down the side. So So we're just using that Cool Grey 1, Cool Grey 3 and Cool Grey 5 to colour that section in. And then we'll do the top little part here. So again, starting with your brick beige, go in and just colour this part in, like this. And then we can take our sand, go around the edge, like this. And then we can take our chamois, and just go around the edge again. And then we can go back over with that brick beige and blend it all in. So now we're going to do the darker colours at the bottom. So I'm actually going to go in with Cool Grey 5 as my base. So this is going to be in effect my lightest shade for this section. And again, I'm just kind of trying to get a base colour down. Onto here. So we can just work around building this up like this. There we go. And then we can take a slightly darker colour. So I'm going to go in with Cool Grey 7 now. Can just add a little bit of that just around the edge. And then we can take a little bit of Cool Grey 9 and darken it down even more, just around that edge. Like that. And then back over, just with your lighter colour, just to soften it. Okay. So then next up, we're going to be stamping and embossing onto some silver mirror card. Now, what you need to do, this isn't a particular brand of mirror card that we're using or anything like that. If you've got some at home, you just need to get a little piece and you need to do like a little tester just to make sure that it's going to be okay. So we're going to go in with an anti-static bag first of all, and then I'm going to take my stamp again. Now again, it's up to you. You can either use your black ink pad and your clear embossing, or if you'd rather, you can use a clear embossing pad and a black embossing powder. So we're going to ink up our stamp, and then we are going to carefully position it down onto that mirror card. So we're going to position that down like this, and then you want firm, even pressure all over the stamp. And then we can lift that off, and you can see how I've got that image there. I'm going to carefully pick that up. I'm going to cover it with my clear embossing powder, tap away any excess, and then we're going to heat that up. So we're going to use our heat tool. Okay, and we've got that all nicely heated up. And what you'll tend to find is on mirror card, it'll turn very, very quickly. So what we can then do is take our scissors and trim this out. So I always like to cut out roughly first, and then you can take your scissors and go in properly. we go. So then I've got another one that I've stamped that's plain. So I'm going to stick that down onto there. So we're just going to use a little bit of dries clear glue to stick this on. So that's going to get stuck onto there. And then the one that we've coloured in, I'll bring this back in, we've cut away just the part that we've coloured in, okay? So that's then going to go onto the top on some foam pads. And again, just use your little scissors to trim that away. If you move your paper rather than your scissors, you will find that a little bit easier. So we've got some foam pads just on the back of there. I'm going to just pop a little bit of glue just behind. And then we're just going to position this down onto our base, like so. Okay. So you can then take your little self-adhesive sparkles and we can take those, and I'm going to colour just this little part in here on the base image. I'm going to go Cool Grey 3. Where are we at here? I've got that many grey pens. There we go. A little bit of Cool Grey 3 just on these little kind of parts there. Okay, and then I'm going to take some tweezers and hopefully not ping these self-adhesive sparkles across the room, because I am very good at doing that. But we're just going to take these, and we're using the lovely kind of really shiny silver ones. But these are like metallic, they're not like your clear self-adhesive sparkles, your clear jewels. These are like proper silver, so they look great on the guitar and on the men's stuff. And then we're going to take 3 of the larger ones and just pop those on here, like this. And that then finishes that guitar off. So we're going to put a double layer of foam pads onto this one. Let me just move these pens out of the way. Let me have a little tidy round, because I've got stuff all over again. Always starts out tidy, doesn't it, when you're crafting, and then you just end up with stuff everywhere. So we are going to put a double layer onto here. So let me grab my foam pads in. So put one there, and then double one up on the top. And then I will need my scissors that I've just put away. But we'll put one there, one on the top. And then we'll just pop a few more onto here. Like this. So take the backing off of there. Again, just another couple. Just go onto there and onto there. Okay, and then we're going to bring our base card back in, and we're going to start and get things positioned on. So we've got our 2 guitars that are going to go about there. A little bit higher, maybe it's just about there. And then we've got our one that's going to go in the middle here. I think I might stick the middle one down first, and then we can work the other ones around it. I always like to kind of position things down, make sure they are in the right place before you fully commit. But yeah, I'm happy with that one there. And then we'll peel the backs off of this one. That one can go there. And then this one can go onto here. There, like so. And then finally, now when Rebecca made this card, she hand cut this little happy birthday, but I've come up with a solution if you don't want to hand cut it, we will have our banner, the mini banner, is it mini banner? Stamp and die set back in stock very soon. So I thought we could use that with the happy birthday from this set to die cut out the little banner to go across the middle. So we'll cut this out first. So we'll have a little bit of low tack tape just to hold that in place. And I'll grab my cutting plates again. So we'll send this through the machine. And there we go. Oh, I've put them plates in a bit skew whiff there, but never mind. Then we'll grab this just when it gets to the other side. And we'll take this out. So we've got our lovely little die cut banner there. Much easier than trying to do that by hand, I think, and by eye. And then we're going to take our little happy birthday stamp. We'll ink that up. Position that down in the middle and press. So we're just using that Versafine Clair ink pad again. And then I'm going to just give that a little blast with my heat tool just to dry it off. And then we can put some little foam pads just onto the back of here. So again, I'm going to double layer it. So we'll go to one there, and then we'll go one there, and then one over here, and one over there. And we'll take the backs off of those. Position that down. Now we're going to curve it a little bit so it's got a little bit of shape and dimension. If you want to keep the card flatter, you can do that as well if you want to. And then to finish this one off, we're just going to go in with some little sparkles and dot these about. In the background. So these are the little silvery ones. And I do like these. I think they work so... see, pinged one across there. I think they work so well for like the more masculine kind of cards. So then we can go in with these. Dot them about. And that would then be your finished project. So I'll just move a couple of bits out of the way. And then I'll pop the other camera in so that you can have a little look at what we have been making. So let me pop that one in there. So that is the one that we have just made. And then this is the one that Becca made earlier. So she's just added a few more of those little sparkles into the corners. And that would then be your finished card. So all of the materials that I've been using are listed in the description below. So please do have a little look. And of course, you can shop all of the products on our website, which is www.chloescreativecards.co.uk. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel too. We are always posting lots of fresh ideas and inspiration. So please do have a little look and check that out. And I hope to see you again very soon. I really hope you've enjoyed recreating this card project with me today. Thank you for joining me. Bye.